the third interview about AI-driven global governance. And in the second part, Jacob Nordangård and I started looking closely at this white paper that was recently published. Recently in May 2025, recently published by the GGTC Berlin, the Global Government Technology Center in Berlin, and which describes how government will be revamped. That's actually the expression they use, will be revamped, fundamentally changed. In other words, through at first semi-autonomous and then eventually full autonomous AI agents. And Jacob discovered this white paper and wrote a comprehensive article about it on his Substack, The Pharaoh's Chronicles. The title of that article, and I highly encourage people to read it. There are also so many, links in it to other interesting resources. The title is Welcome to Your Nightmare, the Externalization of the Agentic State. And externalization here, Jacob, means like the realization of the agentic state.
Yeah.
Correct?
It is. But the title is taken from Alice Bailey's book, Externalization of a Hierarchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've written a couple of articles about the year 2025 in Alice Bailey's teachings, and because she talked about the externalization of certain things and a hierarchy that would rule the world from year 2025. So that's constant.
So in our first interview, we looked at the entire framework from which this white paper was born. And in the second part, we started going into the white paper, reading passages in it. And this is what we're going to continue to do in this last and concluding part. By the way, I got a really interesting comment on the first interview. A reader wrote that Luukas Ilves, who is the lead author, really the main author of the white paper, The Agentic State, he is the son of the former Estonian president, Toomas Ilves, who was the president of Estonia from, I believe, 2006 until 2016. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know either.
Yeah, and it's actually not that easy to find out. I went to check out him, Toomas Ilves, and it says he has 4 kids, but there's no reference to Luukas.
Yeah.
And when I searched Luukas, I didn't find any reference to the fact. I mean, that's an important piece of information that he's the son. I mean, I didn't research him in depth, but I didn't find I didn't find that immediately, that he's the son of Toomas Ilves. And Toomas Ilves, by the way, he was not born in Estonia. His parents fled in 1953, I believe. They fled Estonia. They came to Sweden first. Toomas Ilves was born in Sweden in 1953, but then I think he grew up in the United States. So he had never lived in Estonia. I mean, it was a Soviet republic. I don't even know, when his parents were able to return, because they had fled a Soviet republic. And I know from East Germany that people who had fled East Germany before the wall was built, or even more so after the wall was built, I mean, almost nobody managed to survive that. But these people were not allowed to travel to East Germany when other West Germans were allowed to travel. I think they had to wait another 10 years or so, like into the 70s, before they were allowed to just visit East Germany to see their relatives, because most of them had their families over there. So I don't know when Toomas Ilves was allowed to return to Estonia. In any case, he had never lived there until the Soviet Empire collapsed, or the Soviet Union collapsed. And what's really interesting is that he almost immediately became the ambassador. I mean, he had never lived in the country. He spoke Estonian. He speaks Estonian, but he had never lived there. And then they made him ambassador, or the Estonian government made him ambassador to the United States, and also I think Canada and Mexico, a whole bunch of states, which is weird, I think.
Yes, it sounds weird.
And then he
but I guess it's not unusual for these new states after the fall of.
It's not. You're right, but I don't like it. If I'm Estonian, you have a couple of million people there. I mean, it's a small people. It's not a huge number of people, but so what? There's plenty of people to choose an ambassador from, because they have grown up there. They have suffered as a Soviet state. They know they know what it was like, and they should be the ones, I think, who should be sent to as ambassadors to other countries, not someone who didn't even live there. And then he became foreign minister, and then eventually he became the president of Estonia. But anyway, this is just a sidetrack. So, and the other thing I found out about Luukas, his son, Thomas' son, is that he is a young global leader at the WEF, which is also an interesting little piece of information.
Yes, I mean, he is at World Economic Forum's Global Government Technology Center. So, and I also know that some of the Ukrainians that they cooperate with are young global leaders as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, for example, in our second interview, we talked about Valeria. There are a couple of names. That Valeria Ionan. She is the deputy minister for Euro integration at the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. She also is a young global leader at the World Economic Forum. And then also Zoya Litvin. He is the head of the Global Government Technology Center in Kiev. He is also a young global leader, as well as Mikhailo Fedorov. He is the vice prime minister and minister of digital transformation of Ukraine. He's also a young global leader. Remarkable.
Yes. Yeah.
Or maybe not, probably not
maybe
remarkable.
Not.
I mean, makes sense, right? You want to pick people you can trust, you can rely, you know that are absolutely in your camp. It's like a cult. You want to have people that are in the cult. So you pick the ones, the ones that you groomed in your Young Global Leader program. The one exception, as far as I can tell, who is not a Young Global Leader is Manuel Kilian, who is what is he, he's the director or managing director of the Global Technology Center in Berlin.
Yeah, but still, it's a center that's run by the World Economic Forum. So
yeah. And he's still young. They can still make him a young global leader.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back into the white paper, and I'm going to share my screen. And last time we got as far as the chapter Crisis Response and Resilience, and I suggest we pick up there because we didn't spend much time there, and it's one of the most important chapters. Go back in there briefly before we cover policy making, compliance, and leadership. These three other things I think we should cover as well. Are you okay with that, Jacob?
Yeah.
Actually, before we go back into the poly crisis, I want to have a very quick look at the agentic internal workflows. We did that a little bit last time, but there is one passage that I found so worrisome that I want to show it to you. I want to know what you make of this. It's this chapter here, A Vision for Agentic Internal Workflows. And that's, the chapter about internal workflows. So this is stuff like the kind of workflows that governments have, like when somebody applies for a permit and all sorts of other stuff, citizen government interface where they interact. And they have this vision for agentic internal workflows. And there is one thing. So they want to, first of all, this year, look at this, Jacob. They are automating for outcomes. So, and they stress this in the white paper many times, that these AI agents will be automated for outcomes. Here it says the agentic government will come into its own as teams of AI agents become more capable of delivering on specific measurable objectives, enabling them to contribute to achieve high-level outcomes. So they are going to set specific outcomes that they feel are desirable, and then they will ask these AI agents to achieve them by whatever means, whatever is needed to do that. And what's really worrisome, I mean, the whole thing is worrisome, but look what it says here. Crucially, they will monitor progress against defined metrics and adapt their approach to stay aligned with the target outcome. So, adapt their approach to stay aligned with the target outcome. Talk a little bit about this, what this actually means. It's just breathtaking.
It's a lot to take in, really, I think.
Yeah. You know what I found really so shocking here is that the way it should be is that you have that you define certain that you work in a framework of certain principles of, I don't know, but in a democracy it would be the principle that the government is elected by the citizens, and that human rights are that there are certain rights, basic civil rights are being observed and stuff like that, and there's freedom of speech and freedom of press and freedom of movement. These are all defined rules. We don't have in an open society or in a constitutional law-based society, we don't have outcome-based behavior. So you have that, I think you have that in totalitarian states, like in the communist state. It's all outcome driven. It's we want to implement this utopia of a classless society where nobody earns property, where nobody owns property. That is the outcome, and everything is outcome driven. Everything is measured by, is it going to bring us closer to this? And if murdering a couple of million people is bringing us closer to this outcome, then we are going to do that. So, and they are saying exactly this. It's going to be outcome based, and we are going to adapt our approach, or these AI agents will adapt their approach to stay aligned with the target outcome. So they will change their behavior based on the outcome that they see. So they might. It sounds like, well, what actually is going to happen is what they're going to do is perfectly arbitrary based on the outcomes that they are seeing right now, and they are displeased with it, so they're going to change their rules. They're going to change their laws constantly. They're going to change their behavior constantly.
And they state this in the report as well.
They do, and we are going to. That's right.
Yeah. So they decide what to do, and what we as humans want. That's kind of not important. It seems.
Yes, no, it's not important, and it's actually very pesky that humans have these desires and have these have a will to accomplish certain things, or have opinions about how to do things, except when it comes to the leaders. So they say here only the most complex or novel cases are going to be escalated to human experts, and who knows for how long that will be the case. So here they go further into this. Agents designed to automate for outcomes. He really stresses this. So and he gives a very interesting example. He says, approve 90% of construction permits within 10 days while rigorously enforcing zoning and climate standards. Now, how can you tell someone, an AI agent, so your goal, you have to approve 90% of the construction permits that come in. I don't know, that came in last week or whatever. You have to approve them, 90% of them within 10 days, while rigorously enforcing zoning and climate standards. It doesn't make sense. It's a complete contradiction. I mean, if you really rigorously enforce some rules that you have, then you cannot guarantee that 90% of your construction permits are going to be approved. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And then they say, an agent assigned this task would orchestrate the full workflow from document ingestion and rules checking to issuing the draft permit, all while adjusting its approach on the fly to meet performance metrics. So let's say, Jacob, you apply to build a shed in your yard on Monday. On Monday, they're not really sure they're going to hit their construction permit goal, and you will easily get your construction permit, although there's some question whether your shed isn't built in some sort of wetland area. It's a big thing here because there's so many people. Yeah. Anyway, but they'll give the AI agent will decide, well, I have to reach this goal of 90%. So I'm going to give Jacob his construction permit. And then I apply to build a shed in my backyard on Friday. And by that time, the AI agent has already approved 90% of construction permits. So it's going to tell me, oh, Cornelia, you're not going to get a construction permit because God knows what, your shed is in a wetland zone, although it's not, or it gives you some whatever arbitrary reason. That's the way it would be, I guess.
Yes, and no one to really discuss this with, and nobody is there. It's just just a machine response.
That's right.
So
That's right.
So who are you in this system?
Yeah, that's true. You can't even talk to anybody. I mean, it's difficult enough to talk to somebody now. Very difficult, in fact, almost impossible, at least here. And even if they would just tell you, even if you would get to talk to someone, they would just refer you to, they would refer you to some rule. But even if you say, well, but the rule doesn't apply to me, you wouldn't get anywhere. You would have to sue, and good luck suing the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency here in the United States. I don't know what it's like in Sweden right now, but here it's extremely difficult. But yeah, at least there is still a human being, and there is some sort of maybe a tiny chance.
So sometimes you actually can, and you can speak to someone. Maybe they just, I mean, they have already worked with efficiency in these responses from the agencies, and essentially made robots out of ordinary people working there. But
that's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. So this is just the last step. And then the last thing I wanted to mention here, because I found this quite extraordinary, this shift would also bring important secondary benefits. In areas, so this shift to AI agents in these internal workflows, autonomous AI agents, in areas historically susceptible to corruption or rent-seeking, fully logged agentic decisions aligned with fair and transparent outcomes reduces opportunities for discretionary abuse. So, really? I'm not sure that's true at all, because I think, okay, so there are always corrupt and rent-seeking bureaucrats. You have that in every society, and you will never reduce that to zero. And if it's just a little bit of corruption or rent-seeking, well, you can be happy to live in a society like that. But what they're saying here is, well, once we have these agentic decisions, we just saw that these agentic decisions are actually totally corrupt, because they are outcome driven and they are changing their criteria all the time on what to approve and what not to approve. So this is actually replaced with not just some individual corruption by one or two or three corrupt bureaucrats who, if found out, would be punished for the behavior. No, it's actually substituted with a systemically corrupt system that not just displays discretionary abuse, but systematic abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can see again how good they are at marketing this stuff. When you just read this one sentence, you think, oh, and you haven't really thought about it. You think, oh, wow, that sounds good. Yeah, I want that. I don't want corrupt individual bureaucrats. I much rather have the one or two or a couple of corrupt bureaucrats than having this completely tyrannical system of AI agents driven by outcomes.
Because it's who do you complain to when you don't have anyone responding for real? It's just an AI agent. It's just such a vicious system.
Yes, exactly. It's a good question. So let's say you don't get your building permit, as we just said, or something else, something much more dramatic than just that. What do you do? The white paper completely excludes that question. There's no, it does bring up some questions, to be fair, about how do we make sure that this doesn't develop into some tyrannical system? Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
but
they have to ask them these questions.
Yes, they throw up. Actually, actually, the best part of the white paper are all the questions they throw up. So Luukas Ilves is very well aware of these questions. He throws them up to his credit, and they are good. He doesn't answer a single one. And well, even if he tried to answer, he would probably find a way to answer them that sounds good. But these questions are really unanswerable, because, well, what do you do? What is above these agents? Who controls them? If they are fully autonomous, they are fully autonomous. That's what it means.
Yes. No humans. in the loop.
No humans in the loop. Push them neither in the loop nor on the loop. They are pushed off the loop eventually. Yeah. So, okay. Right. Well, just wanted to go into that quickly. And then they also say in this paper here, they use the expression, when do humans turn into unnecessary overhead? And of course, they turn into unnecessary overhead all the time, only maybe for the most complex and difficult edge cases. And even there, it's unknown for how long. But they have this vision of humans are kind of unnecessary overhead. If that is their view of like 99.9%, then
it undermines agentic efficiency.
Yeah. But if that's the view of human beings as unnecessary overhead in all this governing space, which is a core human activity, right, of human societies, I would say. Yeah. So if that is unnecessary overhead, then aren't we completely unnecessary in other regards as well? Why should we even exist?
Yeah, exactly.
We are so utterly unnecessary. All right.
And how can a human have written this? It's like an AI agent have been responsible for the report as well.
Yeah, but that's such an interesting question. How can a human have written this? Well, this is a very particular human, this Luukas Ilves. He has a lot of experience in this space. He is very aware of his own importance. He has political ambitions. He sees himself clearly as a leader, as one of the leaders. And the leadership thing is throughout this whole white paper, the leaders. He is one of these leaders, like the 0.01% of the population, or 0.0001 or something. And he takes himself very seriously. I do not think he considers himself unnecessary overhead. At least not, well, maybe to a certain, maybe for some trivial stuff, but definitely not for the really important things that matter. And in fact, I think he sees himself as playing a pivotal role in this transformation as they envision it to this global governance by AI agents. So there is this split between regarding almost everybody, almost all humans, as kind of cattle that needs to be directed and that just needs to be controlled and manipulated and propagandized, and then the leadership that is in charge. And that brings me to the question, Jacob, do you really think, do you think that the global, these globalists, this global gang, do you really believe that they are in favor of AI agents taking their power away from them?
No. They want the AI agents to enforce the things that they decide. So they want to control the values in a society. It would be, I don't think it would be tolerated by them that an AI agent would take away their decisions at the top. They want to control it, but they don't need the bureaucrats to do it anymore. And the bureaucrats, they could be corrupted and they could say the wrong things. And some could have human emotions, and human emotions are in the way of efficiency. But they will direct in the top. What these AI agents should do. And probably we will give the AI agent some room for because they have an outcome. so those in the top, they decide the outcome for the AI agent, and the AI agent can choose how to secure the outcome.
Yeah. And you said the bureaucrats, they don't want the bureaucrats. They actually say in the paper the bureaucracies will melt away.
Yeah.
they don't want the bureaucrats, they can get corrupted, but also more importantly, they have emotions, they are humans, they have their own ideas. And some of them, you don't know, some of them might actually at some point say, no, I am not okay with this. So there is this, I think there is this fear of an uprising.
And
that might come.
Probably.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, because we have had this kind of systems before with humans in the positions of the bureaucracy before in history, totalitarian systems. And those haven't worked. For a couple of years we have worked, but in the end they just collapse. But with this system, they try to ensure that they will stay in power because there's no humans within the system that can do something about it. All of the people are to be managed.
So no wonder they're so eager for this AI, because they see it as the AI protecting them, cementing their grip, their power over human beings, over governments.
Yeah.
Building this this stupid global government system that they are thinking about. The whole thing is so asinine. I mean, it's so idiotic. It's so megalomaniac. You really wonder about the intelligence of these people. I mean, I'm sure they're intelligent. Luukas Ilves is definitely a very intelligent person, no doubt about it. But the most intelligent people often have the most crazy ideas, and stupid people can also have crazy ideas.
Yes, and Ilves, he's employed. He has been chosen for this position. So he has backers. He has people that has employed him to do this kind of work because they want this kind of system, and that's the ones that are have really hubris and trying to bring in this system.
Yes, that's so true. I mean, Luukas Ilves is so enmeshed in this entire power structure. He is so safe. He is with the W. He's a young global leader. He is he's connected with the World Economic Forum. He has connected with the United Nations. He's connected with all sorts of really important, powerful organizations, and of course the individuals within these organizations. So he is so safely ensconced in this whole thing.
Well, he thinks so. We don't know in the end because it's like people have been, I mean, we have seen it before in totalitarian systems. People will help to build the structures, but then it's in place, they will be thrown under the bus.
Yes, the revolution eats its own children every single time. So that's okay. That's what they have in store for them, which I'm fine with. But I'm absolutely not fine with what they have in store for us.
No.
So let's go to crisis response and resilience. This is on page 21. This is one of the most uplifting chapters of the white paper.
Yeah.
So let's go back,
really?
let's go back to it. Here, it's vision chapter starts here. Crisis response and resilience. And we already discussed how they have this idea of polycrisis, and they need to have lots of crises, preferably at the same time, so that people are in a frenzy all the time, worried about dying, worried about all sorts of terrible things happening, because then people are willing to give up their powers. People cannot think straight. They are in a panic. So that's exactly the kind of breeding ground that they need for their power grab. And so the resilience here, actually means that we have everything under control and people are not going to rise up against it. That's how I interpret it. They wanted to be resilient, no matter what we do to the population, no matter how we beat them with pandemics and God knows what kind of climate emergencies. They are going to be cowed and they are not going to rise up. They're not even going to be willing to step out on the roads to demonstrate.
Yes, and this is the Singleton idea. From Nick Boström.
Yes, say a word about that again. the Singleton. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, the Singleton. It's a Swedish philosopher, tech philosopher, transhumanist. He's in England now, lives there, but he has this Singleton theory about, and that's a world order dominated by one power, and it could be an AI system, because he talks a lot about the technological development and how it will end in this Singleton. So it's power concentrated into one hand, and it could be this AI system, and it will defend against everything that is trying to destroy its power instantly. And he says, he also states that this system could work forever, and of course that's a dream for those megalomaniacs.
So this Bostrom guy, he's in favor of this Singleton. He thinks that's a good idea, correct?
Well, it's not easy when you read these people. It's like they warn about it at the same time that they are fascinated of it. But it's more like it might be inevitable. It has to come. And he is a transhumanist. He believes in these things with the upgrading of humans with technology, and be a part of a technological system. And they have discussed a lot about these scenarios at the institute he headed before this institute was closed down. But and they have cooperated with a lot of important think tanks and institutes that are working with new ideas for governance, like the Swedish Global Challenge Foundation in Sweden, that has worked a lot with United Nations process, and a couple other think tanks.
So, I think many things are not inevitable. It's probably few things are inevitable, but a lot of things are not inevitable. These guys, they remind me of like, kids playing in a gigantic sandbox. And well, that's fun, right? You have the whole world as your sandbox, especially when you have the power to actually make changes. So that's probably very addictive, I would imagine.
Yeah, I guess they have played computer games all their lives. So now they wanted to make the whole world to a computer game by digitize everything. So will be possible.
And also, computer games. Look, all these simulations that they're going to run, that's like straight from a computer game. They're running simulations all the time, continuously, testing out various things, as they did before COVID, testing out the whole COVID thing as a simulation before implementing it. So they're going to do that, but all the time. They're going to have simulations of various kinds all the time, and then they're going to decide which simulation to unleash in reality on people. So that also comes from, reminds me of video games, where kind of video, it morphs into reality. So they're having these simulations, and then I'm sure they don't say this in the white paper, obviously, that they are going to use these simulations to actually unleash crises, but they need that's how I understand it. So they need this crisis. They're going to simulate the crisis. They find out which crisis works best, and then they're going to implement it. And they're going to accumulate a lot of data from these implementations, like COVID. There's tons of information now how people actually reacted, on how obedient many were, et cetera, et cetera. So they will use that data in their next simulation and in their next implementation. And then they say about hyper-aware AI orchestrated first response in such a crisis. When a crisis begins to unfold, AI initiates the first steps in crisis response before human in the loop structures have time to react. That's what it says here. Human in the loop structures.
Yeah. That's what I reacted on when I read this white paper for the first time. It was just, wait a minute. It's a lot of things in the white paper, of course, but this was really, oh my God.
Yeah, thanks, Luukas. Big shout out to Luukas to be so honest and to be. He is so dizzy with his stuff. I mean, he couldn't help himself but to put it in such stark language. What an idiot. Anyway, so we are human in the loop structures. That's good to know. That doesn't sound very attractive. Very dark image of human beings in this entire thing. And AI initiates the first steps in crisis response. Great. So not only they do the simulations, they implement the crisis. When the crisis unfolds, they have the AI ready to respond. And it's a hyper-aware AI orchestrated first response.
Yes, it's like they have decided to build the Skynet. And
yes,
that's Terminator.
And they're just giddy with excitement. It's like, oh my God, we are having this big
we can do this
game, and we are actually going to do it. Isn't that absolutely awesome? These agents will work alongside, it says here. So these agents will work alongside increasingly autonomous physical systems, such as drones and robots, forming the backbone of a responsive, adaptive crisis infrastructure.
Yeah.
Drones and robots. So they're going to come flying. Let's say, so they're going to say, okay, crisis. Well, the one thing they have to do is take out all the dissidents, all these pesky human structures. They're not even in the loop. They're human off the loop structures, but they might still be dangerous. You never know. So it's a good idea to, to be proactive and to think ahead and just take out all the dissidents by just flying some drone into and kill them.
Or send a robot back in time, like in Terminator.
Yes,
it's that kind of thinking. It's just you have watched these movies. You're not. It's a warning. You're not supposed to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, they of course will say no. We're going to use drones and I don't know, some sort of
crisis response, but humanitarian things and so on. But we also know with the COVID response that this could be used for enforcement. And then if you go into what they write in, for example, World Government Summit and their technological development site, it's that's futurism and very scary. And they talk about using the robot police. Like a RoboCop, and that will be automatically used in when people act against the will of a system. So they have everything in this, and it's and I've written about. I have an article about this World Government Summit as well, with all these technology that we discuss, and some that are possible to use now, and some that will be possible in the future. And this also, and they actually talk about a social credit system connected to this, and if your credit are too low, you will be under constant surveillance. Well, you are anyway, but in this case, they will really monitor you and use the RoboCops against you. So and it's everywhere in their writings. It's a possible scenario for the future.
And of course, I mean, we have these physical systems. We have drones, we have robots. They're becoming more and more sophisticated. So we do have these physical systems. There's no way of going back. So what we should really think about is how to make sure that these drones and robots are not being abused. To think about what safeguards do we as humans do we have to put in place to make sure that the drones and robots are being used as far as possible to do beneficial things instead of being abused by tyrants to control and to control the population. So these are really important.
And the question is, what kind of society do we want?
Mm-hmm.
Do we want as humans? That should be the thing, because now it's possible to use this technology. We have the technological development. We can't say no. We have to. It's inevitable. Well, in that case, we will have a digital dictatorship. So we have to have discussion about what kind of technologies are really needed for us humans. Technology should be help for us, not be a tyrant.
Yeah, but these they seem to desire this kind of technological tyranny, and they're looking forward to it. You know, they don't say that in the white paper, but it's in between the lines. It's like they can't wait to have this. And of course, and these questions are very difficult, very, very difficult, because if you have adversaries that develop drones and robots to launch against you, well, and you don't have anything to stop them or to retaliate, you're not going to survive very long as a nation. So these are really important questions to discuss. But the way they are looking at it is really sickening and is totally incompatible with an open society, a liberal Western society that is based on a constitution and on democratic values. It has absolutely nothing to do with it.
And where is the discussion?
Where is the discussion?
Well, we have this white paper. It's a discussion paper, but who are discussing it?
Well, we are.
Yeah, I know.
Jacob, that's a great question. Have you followed this a little bit? Is there some sort of discussion going on? I bet I don't think there is, but maybe I'm wrong. Is there?
But we are discussing it because I found it. But it was not like it was announced for the world. It was not announced it's not a political discussion. It's not mentioned in Sweden, for example, where I live. It's not like the politicians have next year's an election. Will they discuss if we are going to put in place a system of agentic AI that will rule over us and be in control of our government operations? Is it a discussion? Is it something we can? Is it some politician that will talk about? Probably not. This is a discussion it's never interesting. They have these other questions that we are allowed to discuss on a political level. Of course, we can discuss it, and it's discussed in the alternative sphere. But how will this have an effect? Will the people involved in this, will they react on live interviews, the things that we are doing?
Well, yeah, it's definitely not widely discussed. It's not being picked up by the media, as far as I can tell. If you hadn't written about it, I wouldn't have known about it for sure. But it's also, I also don't think it's discussed within the WEF, within these structures, within the global government technology centers. Well, maybe to a certain degree, but I think it's also made very clear to the people who are involved in it that if they fundamentally disagree with this approach, they are out.
Yeah.
And forever. And that's it. So let's say, for example, if Manuel Kilian, who from watching the this tech briefing that they had, I wasn't so sure if he was on board with all the stuff, with pushing humans off the loop, etc., etc. If he has some doubts, and let's say he develops these doubts and he comes to the conclusion, I don't really stand behind this white paper, and I have really fundamental questions about this. He would be out. He would no longer be the manager or this director of the Global Government Technology Center in Berlin.
Yeah.
And he knows that. And what's he going to do then? What are his career options? They're probably pretty abysmal in that case. So I always see that in when I look at WF on United Nations and what they post on X or something, there is so little engagement with it, from within their own communities. It's like an intellectual desert. They don't have really lively exchanges, discussing things, having pro and con. That it doesn't exist. It's like, it really reminds me of a totalitarian state. Like East Germany, where there was no discussion allowed. It was just not allowed. A real discussion. It was just, yes, you can praise it. Maybe you can have some tiny little constructive criticism that might be allowed, So, but fundamental questions, no, they are not allowed. And I saw that also in the webinar that we both watched, this tech briefing webinar that they had. That would have been a platform, a good opportunity to actually gather responses, to gather reactions from their audience. And I don't know who the audience was. They didn't make that clear, I think. I have no idea who these people were, how many they were, where they came from, whether they came from outside or inside. But there was no discussion.
Probably inside. People involved in the global government technology centers.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, probably. Because it would have been way too risky to do this.
It's a public
with
thing. Why?
People.
No. They wouldn't.
No, they didn't invite you to this briefing.
Oh.
And so, yeah. Oh, yeah. The last thing I wanted to mention here is human on the loop. So that's the human oversight will increasingly move from making decisions to supervising them. This shift may feel uncomfortable. Okay, he acknowledges that.
Yeah.
But those who let machines take the first step, especially in fast-moving situations, will gain an edge. So now he makes it so it makes you feel uncomfortable. No wonder. But so he tells you, oh, actually, it's a blessing in disguise, because it will gain you an edge with mental capacity freed up for critical thinking under pressure, end quote.
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious? With freed up for critical thinking under pressure. So really, who is going to, first of all, are we still able to think critically? But if we do think critically under pressure, what difference is it going to make? We have no influence.
Yeah.
Except maybe these leaders, these 0.0.
Yeah, because this is for the leaders. It's not the ordinary people that will be governed. It's the leaders that are controlling the system. That's they can think critically on these issues.
And also it's way too late to think critically then, because they've already unleashed these AI autonomous things, and God knows what
will happen.
They are wreaking in the meantime. Then, oh, wait a minute, I'm thinking so critically here, and this is wrong. Let's stop it, or let's. Can they even stop it? Who knows? It's totally. This is just like, oh, don't think too much about it. It's good. You can think critically under pressure. Wonderful. Yeah. And then he has some good key questions. How do agentic systems respond when networks degrade or go dark? Yeah, good questions. Oh, here, this is an interesting one. Can governments develop a shared doctrine for agentic crisis management, which is exactly what they want? They want a global shared doctrine. Do we need new playbooks? Yes, we do, of course.
We do.
Rules of engagement, we do, right? We need treaties. Do we even need treaties? Yeah, we do need treaties.
Yeah, because they have already prepared them.
Yep, they have.
Yeah.
What would shared operating principles between allied agents, public and private? There's again the public and private partnerships look like in practice. Well, they are working on that. And then, from how can we prevent agentic lines of defense agentic lines of defense, defending against your own citizens, I guess, and you're against other countries from escalating crisis unnecessarily. Good question. All right. So now let's jump to the next one, which is, the compliance chapter. That's also a really scary one. Orwell would have loved this paper. I mean, he would have written another novel. I mean, if George Orwell would have been able to read this stuff here, wow.
Well, exactly.
He would be shocked. He would be so shocked. So page 22, compliance and reporting. And the subtitle is Continuance Compliance that preserves confidentiality and supports lighter regulation. Ooh, that sounds good. Who doesn't want to have lighter regulation through continuous compliance? So let's see, what are they up to here? He first says cost of compliance reporting is enormous, blah, blah, blah. Amounts in the European Union amounts to as much as 3.5% of GDP. And then, so right now he says we just have this really clunky system of periodic inspections and static documentation. And these offer, he says here, quote, they offer at best a limited snapshot of compliance at a single point in time, often incentivizing box ticking rather than meaningful adherence. Oh boy. That does not sound good.
No.
Oh, yes, the limited snapshot of compliance. I like that. Limited snapshots of compliance. I'm fully in favor of limited snapshots of compliance at a single point in time. But that's not enough for them. No, you complied, Jacob, you complied last week. Last week, Wednesday, you were in compliance. I have no idea whether you're in compliance now. And I really want to know. I want to know at every second, is Jacob in compliance? And not only that, Jacob was not in compliance for 3 minutes last night. You thought I might not notice, but I did. And that's what they're talking about here. And let's see.
They want to check you all the time.
They want to check you all the time. So they say here, there's their vision for agentic compliance and reporting. Compliance monitoring. So quote, compliance monitoring and reporting is one of the most obvious cases for agentic AI. Wow. Well, I wasn't naive as I am, I guess. I wasn't aware of that they would think about that, but it makes sense once you get into their mindset. Yeah, sure. Because you can do it all the time. The machine never sleeps, never eats, never is sick, so they can monitor you nonstop. Yeah, it's true. When you think about it, that is an obvious case for agentic AI. If that's the kind of a system you want to have, it gives you the technical means to do that. And then what a dream for like the Stasi, can you imagine? Or the KGB or the Gestapo or the whoever, the CIA, the FBI. I mean, for everyone, it's like, and then it says real-time validation. Instead of depending on quarterly reports or scheduled inspections. That sounds so old-fashioned, doesn't it?
Yes.
Quarterly reports? Are you kidding me?
And then writing a report and sending in to the authorities.
So instead of depending on quarterly reports or scheduled inspections, a statement of conformity becomes a live reflection of the present. Compliance is no longer a retrospective snapshot. It is an active, up-to-date status. Okay. And when we find that you are not compliant, this second we send the drone. Or we sent you a robot to help you comply. And then in the long run, so what does he say here? In the long run, this was also quite interesting. In the long run, quote, we can envision a situation, always this we. Who are these goons? We, global gang. I mean, come on, we. I don't envision that. I think very few people envision that. We can envision a situation where compliance in domains like health. Hey, what's your vaccination status? Are you compliant? Safety, financial, environmental, cybersecurity, and ethics become a component of overall quality management. Ethics? I mean, all these things are scary, but ethics?
Ethics?
What are the ethics?
Ethics?
And Compliance with ethics.
And this is the right human relations. So if I talked about Alice Bailey before and the externalization of hierarchy. The Lucis Trust talked about we have to have the right human relations. And this could be the thing to achieve this system. Really scary. Quality management.
Yeah, what do you even, I don't understand, becomes a component of overall quality management? What are they talking about here?
Yeah, and you are a component as well that will be managed. Doing the right thing all the time.
Right.
And if not, you will suffer the consequences. So it's this is the most tyrannical system I ever seen.
This is so inhuman. Compliance and all these things and ethics becomes a component of overall quality management. So they are referring here to their system, the management system, this agentic management system that they have. And they're talking about the quality of that management system and the compliance with it, the compliance with all these domains that will guarantee the quality of this agentic AI management system. That's what they're talking about. So this quality has nothing to do with quality for people, not at all.
It's not the quality of life.
No, not at all.
No.
No, it's just hellish. This is hellish. Who wants to live in a system like that? And the ethics, the compliance with ethics. What is the ethics? What are their ethics?
It's what the managers tell you.
So I'm not really sure. I understand their ethics at all. I mean, they are kind of like the gods in the system, together with these AI things. And the ethics is really to be obedient, as far as I can tell, to obey, to be compliant, not to raise any objections, to shut up, to be cowed, to be afraid,
follow the rules and regulations. Then you are a good citizen.
Then you are good. Then you're good. If you don't rise up against them, if you comply, then you're a good person. Well, again, thank you, Luukas. Thank you for being so honest and sharing this with us. Very interesting. And key questions, again, he has good questions there. Where should we draw the line on automated enforcement? What role should human oversight play in preserving legitimacy? And I'm not at all sure he would say in the end, there should be any role left. Well, maybe for the leadership, but definitely not for anybody else. Pesky bureaucrats or pesky citizens. No, we don't want that. And there's absolutely no sign in the white paper that there's any role left for such people.
Yes, it will be interesting just to see the follow-up on this.
Yeah. So the next one is also absolutely shocking: policy and rulemaking. Actually, it's not that shocking anymore once we have read the compliance part and what came before. So he says here, quote, "From static rule books to living policies, continuously monitored and adapted by AI agents." Yeah, continued, monitored, and made sure that they are complied with, and also adapted, as we saw before, the continuous adaptations. He talks about how it works now, and then he has his vision for agentic policy making. And here, again, he's very open. Quote, "In a world where agentic AI is fully embedded in government, the very fabric of governance can change." No, it will change. It must change. Can is here quite misleading, although that's what he writes. He says laws, currently static code. That's how he describes our laws. Static code, written once and amended rarely, can develop into a far more dynamic living system, continuously interpreted, tested, and refined by agents operating with clearly defined public mandates. Okay, so that's the end of law and order as we know it. That's also the end of the legislature, who's making these laws, He has a completely negative view of the legislative process. It's this bad static code. It's static. It gets old. As soon as it's written, it's old and outdated.
Yeah, and it's not efficient.
Not efficient. You can't adapt it on the fly because you want your outcomes, outcome driven. So I think the ethics that they talk about is all outcome driven. Whatever serves the outcome, that is good. And it will develop into this wonderful dynamic living system of laws. These idiots. I mean, honestly, they cannot, that they even show this crime of a white paper to anybody is just stupendous.
Well, it's not like they think someone will notice.
Yes,
as I said, it's not like it's advertised in the big newspapers. No.
Where's the damn media?
And
they
you
should
can
pick
find
this up.
I find so much material on the internet, all the books I've written, and they are saying these things all the time. But it's like, well, nobody knows about it. It's so much information, so we can just publish this, and very few will notice. And sometimes, like for me, I just happened to go into this web page and find this center, and
yes, and thank goodness.
Became curious. And that curiosity comes from I have been investigating this for a long time. But for someone else, well, probably just a web page.
But also, Jacob, if I imagine that I read some sensational article about this white paper, and somebody writes, they want to have living laws that are constantly reinterpreted and refined by AI agents, I would think, oh my God, what crazy! Who is this? Who is this guy writing this completely crazy article? I probably wouldn't even read it because I think this is just
crazy.
Sensational. It's clickbait, and I'm not going to believe it. And I'm not.
It can't be for real.
Yeah, it can't be for real because this is so preposterous. So that's really protecting them. This is so crazy, this stuff, that you can't really believe it unless, for me at least, and probably for many people, probably for you too, unless you go and read the original text.
Yeah, that's why it's important to read the original all the time.
And to talk about it and then to write articles, really articles and serious articles about it that are not sensational. Because you don't have to be sensational. This stuff is sensational enough as it is. Don't have to add anything. So then it says the idea of law as code, quote, the idea of law as code is not new, but an agentic government will have the capability to rewrite laws as easily as agents rewrite code. Oh, this is so awful. So it means complete tyranny, complete tyranny. They're rewriting laws all the time. We don't even know. Why do they even bother rewriting the laws? Because that's just
you
lawlessness.
Won't need any parliamentarians anymore.
If you continuously rewrite laws, you do not have laws. That's the exact opposite of a law. It's just complete arbitrariness. And then he says, I mean, is he not aware of that? Anyway, AI agents can simulate complex systems, run policy scenarios, test and red team alternative designs at staggering volume and speed, where quantum computing will unlock a further leap. Moreover, AI can course correct at runtime, detecting drift, bias, and systemic failures. Wow, that's going to be a roller coaster. And then he also says, he writes, this opens the door to a far more dynamic system of regulation and legislation where, where broad societal goals are set by humans and in parentheses, legislators. So they still have some sort of very limited role, while specific rules, thresholds, and requirements are adjusted dynamically by agents with limited or no human intervention. So these broad societal goals are like, what are they even going to be, these broad society goals?
Well, I think it's that's where United Nations, it's the global goals for global society.
Like 2030.
That's what we want to achieve.
The sustainability goals. So they would, yes, that's correct. This is the sustainability goals the 2030 agenda, that kind of really very broad goal that nobody should be hungry or sick, or everybody should get an excellent education and all this stuff.
And it can just be adjusted. So because we know what has happened with Sustainable Development Goals from 2015, it hasn't worked out. It hasn't been sold. But with an AI system, we could do it. Nobody would be in the way.
Yes. And then he says down here, quote, "This shift will be most profound in areas where public and private sector agents can collaborate and negotiate." So you see the same thing here, where we kind of the government dissolves, or it's like it encompasses everything. It sucks in the entire private sector, where it becomes just one big blob, as is the case again in a totalitarian state, because there you do not have a public and a private sector. It's all government. It's all controlled.
Yes, and it's the public-private partnership. It's what we have with United Nations and World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, with them as what are they called? What kind of partners are there? Systemic? No, what was their partnership between the World Economic Forum and the United Nations?
The partnership it's about fulfilling the 2030 agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then down here it says agentic policymaking challenges contemporary notions of inclusion and participatory decision making. Indeed. But do not fear, that's my comment, but, quote, need not be less democratic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's one thing that when I read that, it was just
it's just like such
minute.
A joke. Need not be less democratic, because we get it. If we get it right, it need not be less democratic. So every time he acknowledges, well, that this might feel uncomfortable to you, but do not fear. It's going to be just fine. It's going to be just as democratic and open and wonderful. You just have to, wrap your brain around it in the right way. But so how does he explain why it would be not less democratic? Oh, yeah. And this is hilarious. Listen to this next sentence here. Rather than operating solely through top-down regulatory adjustments, as you might think they would do reading this stuff, quote, agentic policy systems could also learn from citizen signals.
Yes, that's a cybernetic system, cybernetic feedback loops.
I just wonder about the signals, so the signals would be probably signals of discontent, that something is not working, that people are complaining. So, wow, I mean, citizen signals, who will even be willing in a system like that to signal anything? It's like raising your head to get it chopped off. You have no idea what's going to happen. And it also says it could also learn from citizen signals. This is just hilarious.
Yeah, and it's signals. It's not like a vote in a parliament or it's not elections. It's just they are studying you in the macroscope to find out everything about you and how you react on the decisions that they make. And they are also, this is actually a part of my conclusions from my book, The Digital World Brain, the system that comes out of the United Nations Pact for the Future. That's how they envision this system. They will get these signals from building the smart cities and have all the sensors everywhere, and they just can study you. There's no need for, and it's like Klaus Schwab said in a couple of years ago that we won't need elections. We will know what people want beforehand.
You're so right. These signals here they're talking about, they come from this big data, all the data that we read about in the second interview, where they're going to suck up all the data. So everything, they will know everything about us. They will have virtual twins. So they get signals from us all the time. So I was actually thinking here about real active signals, where you signal actively to some authority that you are discontent, or give them their opinion. But what he's probably more talking about, as you just pointed out here, is the myriad of signals that they are getting from vacuum cleaning up all the data about us.
The intelligence gathering and from social media. What are you writing about? What do you feel about the decisions that has been made? So you probably will you let your frustrations go when you write things. It's not like so that's how we will do it. And also the signals, and they will collect everything what you do, what you are doing all the time, and how you are driving, and it could be a lot of things in the system when they are deciding on changing things in the environment as well, and that they can just check how do these things work out and how do people react. But nowhere is it like they really ask you. They don't ask the question: will this be a good decision for you? No, they will just study the reactions after the decision is made by them at the top.
Yeah, well, they're I don't think they're the least bit interested in the good for anyone. They're just interested in their overall goals and outcomes, and in their own good. But the understanding of democracy that is displayed here, that is
oh
remarkable.
My God! Yeah,
right? Because democracy means ruling of the demos, the ruling of the masses, of the people. And this is the exact opposite. I mean, it's
the ruling of the citizen signal.
Yeah, it's the citizens do rule by signaling, and the signals are not voluntary; they're just vacuum cleaned up. And then you rule them through signals, or they can say, okay, well, it's their signal, so they are kind of ruling themselves, which is nonsense. So this is completely absurd, but need not be less democratic. Okay, I hope nobody gets fooled by this stuff. I think, I mean, anybody who makes the way through this white paper, unless they are already a young global leader, or have been turned into a true believer or something like that, I can't imagine anybody would come back from this white paper without being absolutely aghast and horrified. So he also talks about these emotion detection here, feedback loops. So these are the signals, also citizen signals, feedback loops, such as appeals. Okay, if people appeal, that is actually where they get really active themselves. So very dangerous. Appeals, time to resolution metrics. Okay, or even emotion detection in digital interactions could become inputs for agent-guided policy refinement.
Yeah.
In this model, the boundary between policy implementation and adjustment becomes porous. Agents adjust rules not only based on macro level KPIs, key performance indicators, but also from bottom-up input and friction indicators. Okay, there's the signaling explained here, how they envision that emotion detection in digital interactions.
Yeah.
So we're just like guinea pigs, emotion detection. Wow, it's just so dystopian, this whole thing. You think, wow, this would be a really great parody. This whole, but it's the real thing. They're absolutely serious about all of this emotion detection. Key questions. Oh yeah, here's a good key question here. What kind of democratic, in parentheses, oversight preserves legitimacy? What combination of public dashboards, are you kidding me? Citizens' juries or parliamentary committees legitimizes continuous parameter updates? Yeah, you tell us. I mean, it's your idea. You tell us. You shouldn't just throw up these questions. You should answer these damn questions. What is it talking about? Public dashboards? What a joke is that? I mean, it's just infuriating. And then,
but that's one thing that the United Nations is working with now: dashboards.
Dashboards, public dashboards.
Yeah, dashboards on how, and that's connected to the global goals.
So what are they going to display on these public dashboards?
Well, they measure everything, and then they put on maybe it could be countries, how a certain country do they achieve these things, and constantly, so that the countries will compete with each other to be the best. Could be one thing.
Oh, I see. Well, we don't need elections, that's for sure. We have public dashboards, and who knows if whatever is on there is true. So
and one thing with the signal, if our signal goes against the broad societal goals, what happens?
Well, then you're not. I know
what
happens.
You are a threat against the system.
You're not in compliance.
Yeah.
If you if you have,
it's impossible to win in this system.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Totally impossible to win. If and then he says here at the very end, if evidence-based policymaking and law as code have struggled to gain traction. That's actually stating this, because this is true. That it has struggled to gain traction, and he's aware of it. And no wonder it hasn't been welcomed with open arms. What makes agentic policy making different to succeed? That's an excellent question. Why should we expect it to succeed where those earlier efforts have struggled to take hold? So he throws out the question, he doesn't answer it. So in other words, this guy knows full well that this is not popular. People do not want law as code. They do not want this, what he calls evidence-based policy making. And he says, oh, well, first of all, why has it struggled so much? What is different in agentic policy making? Should we expect that to struggle as much too? Well, they should, right? And he knows that people don't like it, but it leaves them completely unfazed. At least he throws up the question, but they are not going to answer these questions. And then the last thing is the leadership. This leadership obsession they have, which is really quite pathological, I think. So they say right now how it doesn't work very well. Civil service and political leadership alike struggle to adapt to the digital world around them. That is true, and I think they need to be helped because it's overwhelming for pretty much everybody at the speed it's happening, and they need to learn about it. It's all true. And then he says a vision for outcome-driven agentic-powered leadership, and there, so. The surge in generative and agentic AI means that expectations of leadership change and become more demanding. Enterprise leaders are increasingly expected to navigate AI's potential to reshape entire business models, manage hybrid human AI teams at scale, etc., etc. And then he says here about leaders. Leaders understand that agentic AI reframes how the state must conceive of itself. That's a very interesting sentence. Agentic AI reframes how the state must conceive of itself because, he treats the state as a person. The state has a self-conception. The state has a certain way of thinking about itself. As systems that reason, act, and learn autonomously begin to take on core functions, and he means core functions of government, public sector leaders must confront foundational choices about where the state should act and how, and according to this. Yeah. And then what's interesting here, this one is interesting. He talks about investing, where to invest the money. And he says it must be scarce resources, including compute, talent, and institutional focus must be intentionally directed toward public goals where automation can deliver the greatest value. That is, what do you make of that? Public goals where automation can deliver the greatest value.
Where automation, that's the very interesting part of it.
Because
so that's,
I mean, where automation can deliver the greatest value, that might not be the greatest public good.
No,
like compliance, you can deliver great value through this continuous compliance thing. That's not at all to the benefit of the public.
No, nothing is in our favor in this.
And then he says down here, regulator or deregulator, rules are no longer only enforced, they are encoded. So they're encoded. I guess what he means here is, he means they're encoded in the entire agentic system, in the agentic state system. So there's no getting away from them. You don't even have to enforce them. He said before this line between enforcement and kind of being inside it is becoming porous, and he has completely dissolved. It's encoded. It's in the system, so you don't even have to enforce it. There's no way of escaping it.
Ruled by the algorithm.
Ruled by the algorithm, and if they put, and if they manage to put some sort of chip into you, and let's say they notice that you're not compliant, and you have some sort of chip in your brain or somewhere, and they just deliver an electrical shock to you every time you don't comply, that should work pretty well, shouldn't it?
Yes, of course. You only want that once. You don't want it at all, but you get it once, and then you comply.
Once. Exactly. Yeah. So you can encode that into a body. That's what the whole transhumanism stuff is about. I mean, there are other use cases, of course, as well, but for people who have lost limbs, etc. But that's just the way.
But in a system like this,
yes, in a system like this,
you can see where how it will be used.
Yeah, exactly.
And humans become a part of a system, a machine, and connected to it, of course.
Okay, these are the last things, but this I thought was this was really fun. I had to laugh when I read this. He talks about here, leaders must decide which powers remain centrally coordinated and where to enable autonomy. Oh my God, did you hear that? Where to enable autonomy, whether through local institutions, regulated non-state actors, so that must be the third parties and stuff, or even. And now it comes, or even citizen-controlled agents. Isn't that? I think, Luukas, that is too revolutionary. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Citizen-controlled agents. Yeah.
I know. Isn't it outrageous? What is these citizen-controlled agents? And then the challenge is, he writes here, how to lead. The challenge is how to lead like an agentic state. It's like he's the personification of this agentic state, to govern with clarity, constraint, and intentional absence. Intentional absence. I don't see any intentional absence here. This means designing not only for effectiveness, but for discretion, knowing when not to act, when to yield, and how to create space for autonomy without losing legitimacy. Nice marketing, right? Yeah, pretty impressive. Well done. And then defining public value and strategic intent. Leaders should define clear societal outcomes, blah, blah, and public value in a way that can be handed over to AI agents. Yeah, and then there's more marketing down here. Ensuring ethical, democratic, and accountable governance. All of a sudden, they have democracy.
Blah, 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 blah. Yes,
blah. Exactly, right.
They need to write that.
Yeah. Rooted here. Leaders should establish and enforce robust ethical frameworks for all public sector behavior, both human and AI, rooted in democratic values. Well, we have seen their understanding of democratic values, human rights, and public trust. Yeah, I bet.
And human rights is to comply.
Okay, so that's it. It's they said in one part of the white paper, I don't know whether it was, he talked about let loose, when the system is let loose, and I thought that was such an appropriate impression, because it really is like a beast that is let loose on the population.
Yeah. This is like the beast of the apocalypse. Really.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. And on page 29, I have to show you this, because I think that's how they think about themselves. How do we grow? In the key questions, he says, how do we grow a generation of AI native public leaders? And I bet that Luukas himself considers him to be such an AI native public leader. What kind of training, mentorship, career pathways will equip tomorrow's leaders to steer agentic government? He says, do we need a new leadership archetype? for the agentic AI era.
Yeah.
Yes, and in his opinion, clearly, yes. Is it time? It's not a question. I mean, he answers it in the white paper. Yes, they absolutely need that. Is it time to replace or evolve the role of the government CIO, Chief Intelligence Officer? And I thought that was so funny because Luukas himself was the CIO of Estonia.
Yeah, he is.
Right? So, yes, Luukas, as you're absolutely right. We need that, and you should become the world's first government CIO. Wow. What a jerk. I mean, honestly, just full of himself. I mean, when I read this, he was the CIO of Estonia. That was just the springboard. Estonia is small. Next one would be much better to be CIO of the world. And who's better qualified than Luukas Ilves to do this? All right. So that's the white paper. And before we finish, I just wanted, because in our last interview, you talked about the United Nations Pact for the Future, and that had somehow completely bypassed me. I hadn't really looked at it.
I just wanted to mention one thing. I don't think we mentioned this, but the agentic state. This is a term used before, and I write about it in my article. It's a theory. The agentic state theory, coined by the psychologist Stanley Milgram after his famous conformity test. You know that one?
Yes.
Stanley Milgram.
The electric shock experiments, right?
Yes,
That's
exactly.
What he ran.
And he wrote a theory about this after this. And a quote here. The essence of obedience consists in the fact that a person comes to view themselves as the instrument for carrying out another person's wishes, and they therefore no longer see themselves as responsible for their actions. Once this critical shift of viewpoint has occurred in the person, all of the essential features of obedience follow. So the agentic state it's obedience. You comply. And I think it's very, very interesting that they actually use this as the title.
Yes, that is true. That is true. They use exactly that expression, the agentic state. And I think they don't even want to rely on obedience alone, because all this with this continuous compliance and the encoding, the rules and regulations as encoded, that sounds more to me like we don't trust you to obey, because people are bad at obeying. People are always disobedient because they have free will. They want to do they have their own ideas always. They want to be free, essentially. No matter what you do, people want to be free. That's why all these totalitarian states eventually collapse, although sometimes it takes an awfully long time to do that. So I don't even think they believe that people will be obedient. That's why they have to be monitored all the time. They are never trusted. They have to be forced, but they have to be forced in such a way that becomes so built in and sophisticated or ingrained.
People will essentially become robots.
Yes, you really
and
have
trained
no choice.
From a very early age, because if you have tasted freedom, we won't accept it. But if you have it from the beginning, you will never know anything else.
And even if you would somehow develop the taste of freedom, they would know it immediately through their emotion detection, and they can either send a drone or they can send they can send to shock you. They can react immediately. They don't have to wait until you have written a novel, or like in George Orwell's 1984, where he starts writing a diary. That's not necessary. They will know much earlier, so they can react much more quickly. So you mentioned in the last interview, you mentioned the United Nations Pact of the Future. And we said that we'll do an interview about that, a separate interview, because that's a very important piece of this entire puzzle here.
Yes, it is, and because it's a lot of information, so it's impossible to go into that right now, but it fits very well into the idea of an agentic state.
Yes.
And the idea of a digitally run society.
That's correct.
And you have it.
And I just want, because people who have listened to the interviews are now so familiar with this white paper that they will recognize when they just see the table of contents of this Pact of the Future, they will recognize how this fits in, or how the white paper fits in, because the white paper came later. This is September 2024, Pact for the Future, Global Digital Compact, and Declaration on Future Generations. Yeah, so nice of them to write a declaration on future generations. I think that future generations might want to decide themselves how their future looks like.
Yes, but they will have an envoy to talk for the generations not yet born.
That's
And that
right.
could be an AI system that will decide for them. It's kind of scary stuff. And I have written a lot about this pact and also our common agenda that this is based on. And this is a part of the book Digital World Brain.
Okay, that's coming out early next year. Wonderful.
Yeah,
so
it was published in Swedish already in 2022.
Gosh, I wish I could read Swedish. Okay, but not much longer. It's going to be soon, 2026, January 2026. So United Nations. So look at their stupid. This is so boring. All they can come up with are these stupid arrows. Outcome driven. We are going. That's the arc of history. We are going there, and you better come with us. There are the stupid arrows. Okay, so if you look just at the table of contents, the Pact for the Future. Let's skip this here. Sustainable development and financing for development. That doesn't interest us right now. International peace and security. Let's skip it. But then they come to a section that's called Science, Technology and Innovation and Digital Cooperation. Well, that rings bells after reading the white paper. We know all about digital cooperation. And then they have a whole chapter about youth and future generations. Let's skip that. And then they have a chapter about transforming global governance. And a long chapter. That's the longest chapter. Look at this. And we know from the white paper that AI agents will play a crucial role in this. And then they have this Annex I, the Annex 1, the Global Digital Compact, where they talk about, look at this here. Objective 1, close all digital divides and accelerate progress across the Sustainable Development Goals. So how this falls in with all the AI stuff and the digital stuff and the digital public infrastructure, how it falls in with these Sustainable Development Goals, as you pointed out. They make that really clear here. So, yeah, and then comes the Declaration of Future Generations. I just thought after we discussed this white paper, you read this, just the table of content, you read it with different eyes because you already know what they are talking about, where this is actually going and what it means.
Yeah, and for me, it was the opposite. I had analyzed the whole Pact for the Future, and then I read the Agentic AI white paper, and no, immediately, okay, this is how they actually want to achieve this in the end.
Right.
The perfect system.
Yes. Yeah. So you read it in the right order. I read it in the wrong order. I read the one that came much later first.
And nobody knew about the Pact for the Future. And that was more official because this is an international agreement by the governments of the world. And they had this big summit a year ago in September, actually. Deciding and signing. I don't think we even signed it. It's just it's an agreement that we have decided during the draft process. So
they haven't signed it. What?
No, I mean, well, they signed it. It's not. They didn't have a vote on it because they have worked on it for over a year with drafts, and so in the end this is the version that we have agreed upon. So we didn't.
So that's the agreed version, but it hasn't been voted on yet.
No, they don't need to vote. Have a vote
they don't need to vote.
No.
So they only need to sign it. That's like then. Once they sign it,
because everybody has been involved in the drafting process, and during this time they have agreed on all the details in this impact.
And in fact,
Yeah.
nobody was involved in it. I mean, nobody.
No,
citizens don't even know that they have this thing.
No, but the United Nations, they think they have stated this. We had a lot of discussions with citizens all over the world, but it was only with NGOs that were more or less a part of the UN system, and they got what they asked for. It was not like nobody knew. And I asked parliamentarians in Sweden; they had no clue about this ever happening. So it was just some people in the government they knew, but they didn't. Mention that they actually was going over to New York for the signing process of it. So I think we had a press release in on the Friday of that week, and on Sunday or Monday we had this meeting. So they afterwards they said on the news, now we have signed this big important agreement in New York. They didn't mention anything about it, what it's about or anything. It's just and actually we have this annex part about the Global Digital Compact, and that's it was the Swedish UN ambassador that was responsible for this. So Sweden has been even
I'm
though
sorry about that, Jacob.
So Sweden was a big part of this the digital agenda and collecting all the reactions and what people wanted to achieve with this. But even though it wasn't mentioned in Sweden at all, nobody knew about this.
Interesting, because Sweden has this you have this image of Sweden as this, well, I guess many people do, I would think, this really well run and not very corrupt and friendly country that isn't up to anything nefarious. So, if Sweden okays it, then it can't be that bad.
Well, now we're part of NATO. Now we are,
True, you are
a part of the war machine, and everything that has to do with AI development, Sweden is in the front of it. So bye to the old Sweden that I grew up in. We don't have it anymore.
I think so. We had a really thorough look at this white paper. Now the question is what to do with this information. What can we do to oppose this becoming reality? And I would like to know your thoughts about this before we close. And I find this question actually really hard to answer. But I think one thing that can be done, and that is crucial, is to actually understand their plans for us, to really truly understand them. As I hope we just did by looking at the white paper, because if you truly understand these objectives that they have in mind and the way they see us and the role that is that we are supposed to be playing, as long as there is any role for us left to be playing, if you understand that fully, then I think a lot of people will feel really motivated to spend energy and time to oppose it and to tell other people and alert other people, so that the awareness grows that this is not okay. This is not what we want, and we have to work against it.
Yeah, man, that's what I've been working with since I found out about, and it's not just this agentic AI, it's the whole agenda that I became aware of like 20 years ago. And since then, I've been involved with at the university and writing the PhD thesis and a couple of books and going out and speaking with people and writing articles and trying to spread awareness of it, because as as was obvious, nobody knew about this white paper because the people at the top won't inform us about it. So awareness is everything. And we have to discuss this, and actually we have the opportunity still to do it. We have always we have internet, and it can be used for good things, and spreading this information instantly all over the globe. We need to do it. And everyone can do their bit in this. I just do my part, and that's finding and reading all these crazy reports, and try to find our peoples like you to discuss them even further. So that's the first step.
Exactly.
And then what happened after that? It's just. But I guess a lot of people now involved in the governments and this system, these bureaucrats that are about to be kicked out, when they realize, and the politicians and all these people, they're going to be thrown on the bus. So at this point, they are so well fed by the system, so they won't oppose it. But when it comes a day when they will change their minds about what has been created, and at that time they don't want to be a part of a structure that is actually implementing this system. It would not look good in the history book of the future to have been one politician that has implemented this system. And I think this author of this white paper should think about that.
Well, he's more thinking about how it's going to be the next world's chief information officer.
Yeah, probably. And he has a lot of
after.
people that is all patting his back and say, "Oh, good job. We love what you are doing, and you will get all these benefits."
Well, Jacob, thank you so much for all the awareness work you are doing. And his Substack is excellent. So if you want to follow him on the Pharaoh's Chronicles, or just look for his name on Substack, Jacob Nordangård, and you will find a lot of articles. I went back into your archive. You have written so many articles about the UN Pact for the Future and all sorts of other things that are highly, highly important. So please go to his Substack and read what Jacob has written, also his books, the global coup d'etat and the global reset. And he wrote a book about the Rockefellers, and his last book is the Solomon Temple, and then the new book that's coming out early next year about the world's brain. Thank you very much, Jacob, for taking the time to really tear this white paper apart. I think it was worth it, and I also think it was kind of fun. Much more fun, as I said in the beginning, much more fun discussing it with someone than to sit there alone and reading it, because that is utterly depressing.
Yeah, it is. We need other humans.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.